Module 3, Great Minds. Unit 3A, Reading and Vocabulary. Exercise 1, page 42.
Animals in the air. Can you believe that the history of the hot air balloon all began with a sheep, a duck, and a chicken? One day in 1777, Joseph Montgolfier was relaxing in front of the fire with his laundry drying nearby. After a while, he noticed that one of his shirts had started to float upwards. The young man was curious about what was happening, so he threw some small pieces of paper into the fireplace to see if the same thing happened to them. When he saw them coming out of the chimney, he came to the conclusion that smoke had the power to lift things up and carry them through the air. Joseph loved science and wanted to become an inventor, so he started trying to think of a craft that would be able to capture smoke and heat and lift people off the ground. Along with his brother Jacques, he began performing experiments on something that later became the first hot air balloon. The Montgolfier brothers quickly realized that it was heat and not smoke that had the power to lift things. On the 19th of September, 1783, they presented their first hot air balloon, which was made from paper and cloth. They burned some straw underneath it, and the heat helped the balloon to float. As this was its first trip, the Montgolfier brothers were too nervous to go up in the balloon themselves. So instead, they put a sheep, a duck, and a chicken in the basket that hung below the balloon for the 2-mile journey. The new invention was a great success, and the animals landed safe and sound. A huge crowd, including some members of the French royal family, gathered to watch the balloon floating high in the sky. Shortly afterwards, the brothers asked the king for permission to send men up in the balloon. The king agreed, and the first flight, consisting of human passengers, took place in Paris on the 21st of November, 1783, with great success. The balloon reached heights of around 150 metres as it floated over the Paris rooftops, starting a long tradition of hot air ballooning.
Unit 3B, Exercise 3A, page 44.
What does your mum do for a living?
She works as a personal assistant to the general manager of a computer company.
Is it part-time?
No, she works 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
What exactly does the job involve?
She makes travel arrangements for her boss and she gets in touch with different clients around the country.
What's the pay like?
The money's great. She gets over £20,000 a year. She also gets a 3-week holiday every summer.
Exercise 5, page 45. One.
How long has he been out of work?
4 months.
2.
How's your mum finding her new job?
It's very hard.
3. How are things at work?
The same as ever.
4.
Working evening shifts must be tiring for your dad.
He's got used to it.
5.
He's got a job as a sales assistant.
What does the job involve?
Exercise 6B, page 45.
Good afternoon, Miss Shields. Are you here about the part-time shop assistant job?
That's right.
Great. I have a few questions to ask you, so please take a seat.
Thank you.
Firstly, I see you are still at school. Are you over 16 yet?
Oh yes, I turned 16 a month ago.
Now, we need someone who is enthusiastic and well-organised.
I'm definitely both of those things. Well, according to my teachers anyway.
Now, talking of teachers, we would need you to work flexible hours. Do you think the job would interrupt your lessons?
No, I'm sure I can manage it. Remember, I'm very well organised.
So, is there anything you would like to ask me about the job?
Yes, actually. What sort of duties will I have to carry out?
Oh, lots of things. You will have to serve customers and take payments and much more.
I was a little worried, as I haven't worked in a baker's before.
There's no need to worry. You don't need to have any previous experience, and we will train you when you start. One last thing you might like to know is that the pay is £5.50 an hour.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much.
OK. When do you think you can start?
Exercise 7A, page 45.
The dog ate the book.
The dog ate what? What did the dog eat? The dog did what? Unit 3D, Vocabulary and Speaking. Exercise 2, page 48.
Marie Curie was born Maria Sklodowska in Warsaw, Poland in 1867. She was the youngest of 5 children. Her parents worked as teachers, and they brought her up to love learning. Her mother died in 1877. Mania, as they called her, and her sisters had to get jobs. Mania became a tutor for a family. She enjoyed her time there and could send money to her father and her sister Bronya, who was studying medicine in Paris. When her sister got married, she invited Mania to live with them and study at the Sorbonne. It was then that she changed her name to Marie. Marie studied physics and maths and got her master's degree in both subjects. When she graduated from university, she started research into magnetism. It was at that time she met Pierre Curie, a young scientist. They fell in love immediately and got married. Marie moved to his house and they both started examining uranium and other elements to decide whether they were radioactive. It took them 4 years to isolate the radioactive source, which she named radium. For this, they won a Nobel Prize in Physics in 1903. In 1906, her husband died in an accident, and Marie got the position they had offered him at the Sorbonne. In 1911, she got a Nobel Prize in Chemistry. During World War I, she designed the first mobile X-ray machine and travelled with it along the front lines. Marie died in July 1934 in Paris. She died of radiation poisoning. She worked hard and proved that if a person keeps to their goals, they will succeed. For her, success came with the 2 Nobel Prizes she received, and the fact that she was the first woman to ever get one. We all owe her our respect and admiration.
Exercise 4A, page 48. A. Infant, baby, 0 to 1 years. B. Toddler, 2 to 3 years. C. Child, 4 to 12 years. D. Teenager, 13 to 19 years. E. Adult, 20 to 59 years. F. Senior citizen, 60 years plus. Exercise 5A, page 49. One.
Sheila studied law and got her degree a year ago. She's now working as a lawyer. While at university, she met James. They got married in 2 months' time.
2.
My aunt and her husband had a child recently, so they decided to move to a bigger house.
3.
My elder brother decided to leave his job as a sales assistant and start his own business.
4.
When my mother gets her driving license, she will buy a new car.
5. My best friend will change schools because her parents have accepted new jobs. They will be moving next month. Exercise 6A, page 49. Speaker 1.
A year ago, my husband got a great new job. But there was only one problem. It was 300 miles away. We had to move house and leave behind our friends and family. But we don't regret it. It was difficult for the first few months, but now we love it here.
Speaker 2.
I loved my job at first, but I slowly realized that I had no future there. There was no chance of being promoted or earning more money. So I applied for a job at another company, and here I am now, in a new job with more money and responsibility.
Speaker 3.
My family is very close, so I found it difficult when I had to go to university. The course I wanted to do was miles away, so I had to leave home and go and live near the university. I was very upset when I left, but after a while I began to enjoy myself. Of course, it's still difficult being away from my family, but I visit them most weekends.
Speaker 4.
At first, I was really excited about finding my own flat, but after a while, I found it difficult to afford the bills. So, I tried to find someone to share the flat with. I eventually found Sophia. She is a wonderful girl, and we have become great friends. And I don't have to worry about money so much anymore.
Speaker 5.
Grandpa had never lived on his own, so we were really worried about him. We checked on him every day, but he kept forgetting things, and one day he left the tap on in the bathroom and water went everywhere. In the end, he came to live with us. It was the perfect solution to the problem.
Unit 3E. Writing skills. Exercise 1B, page 50.
An unusual gallery. It was a beautiful afternoon in the woods near the village of Montagnac. The sky was blue and autumn leaves covered the ground. 4 friends strolled happily among the tall trees, telling stories about treasures that people had hidden in the forest. As they were walking, one of the boys fell over. When the others ran to help him, they saw that there was a hole in the ground. Could this be a tunnel with hidden treasures in it? The boys started to dig, trying to make the hole bigger so that they could climb in and have a look. By this time, though, it was getting dark, and they didn't have a torch, so they decided to come back early the next day. They returned to the woods before school. One by one, the boys lit their torches and crawled into the small, dark tunnel. After about 10 minutes, the boy who was at the front let out a loud gasp. When he pointed his torch at the wall, everyone was amazed to see the walls covered with colourful pictures of horses, deer and oxen. The friends ran quickly to school and told their teacher all about their fantastic discovery. She called an expert, who went immediately to examine the paintings. Later that day, their teacher asked the boys to stay behind after school. They thought that they had done something wrong, but they were relieved when they saw their teacher's smiling face. The expert had confirmed that the boys were the first modern people to lay eyes upon the famous Lascaux paintings, which were at least 17,000 years old. They felt really proud.
Culture Corner 3. Exercise 2B, page 53.
English banknotes. All the banknotes in the UK have a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the front and a famous historical person on the back. Read on to find out more. The £5 note, or fiver, is blue and green in colour and has a portrait of Elizabeth Fry on the back. Fry made her name by improving living conditions for women in European prisons. The main illustration on the note shows her reading to female prisoners in Newgate Prison. The £10 note, or tenner, is orange in colour. It was first issued in 1759. Since 2000, Victorian naturalist Charles Darwin, who developed the theory of evolution, has been on the back of the note. You can also see Darwin's ship, the HMS Beagle, as well as various flowers and animals he came across on his travels, in particular the hummingbird. The £20 note is purple, and up until very recently it had a picture of British composer Sir Edward Elgar on the back. The new £20 note shows Adam Smith, one of the fathers of modern-day economics. The £50 note is red and has a picture of Sir John Houblon on the back. Houblon was the first governor of the Bank of England. This note also shows an image of Houblon's house in Threadneedle Street, London, which is the site of the bank's present-day building.
History. Across the curriculum. 3. Exercise 2, page 54.
The Master Thief of the Unknown World. In 1577, 5 ships left Plymouth with Francis Drake and 160 other men on board to sail around the world. 3 years later, only one ship, the Golden Hind, returned to England. After crossing the Atlantic, Drake left 2 ships on the east coast of South America. With the 3 remaining ships, He then found a new route around the bottom of the continent. But when they reached the Pacific, violent storms destroyed one of the ships and caused another to turn back to England. Next, the Golden Hind sailed north along the coast of South America, attacking Spanish ports. This was because at that time the Spanish controlled all the gold from the New World, and Drake wanted it. Drake also captured Spanish ships and stole their maps and treasure. The Spanish called him the master thief of the unknown world. Finally, Drake sailed to North America and then crossed the Pacific to the Moluccas Islands in the southwest. Eventually, he sailed round the southern tip of Africa and arrived in England in September 1580. When Drake returned, he was knighted by Elizabeth I. He was the first Englishman to sail around the world. He had made many discoveries and had brought back an amazing fortune in treasure.